Right, so welcome to Reboot. My name is Kelly Slessor, and I'm delighted to be hosting this event brought to you by the City of Sydney. Oh my goodness, hello, how are you? Jules, how are you going? So good to see you, hear you, know that you're there. Before we start, I want to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, traditional owners of the land, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, as well as acknowledging that we're all here today on different lands, and so acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands from wherever you join us today. And it's always a privilege and an honour to be able to do that, even more so today, and you'll get why in a minute. If this is your first Reboot session, welcome, welcome. I know some of you are returners from last week, the week before. Welcome back. I'm so pleased that you are getting value out of this, and I'm so pleased. I've been inundated with messages this week of people saying that the tips and tricks and things have been really helpful. The insights are inspiring. So thank you. It's really good to hear your feedback. These are weekly masterclasses. Reboot is a series of 9 free business webinars in response to the pandemic to support business recover, rebuild, engage, and grow your customers and revenue. They're weekly masterclasses with some of Australia's leading business experts to share their knowledge on things like digital, branding, storytelling, purpose building. So far, we've had digital, which I ran. We've had storytelling, we've had influencers, brand and influencers. We had building a business and business growth. So if you haven't watched the first 3, they're there, go back and watch them. This is number 4. There are 9 in total happening every Tuesday from 12 to 1. We have a 3-week break for Easter. I know everyone's going to be out and about and doing stuff or working and in the office, but regardless, we've got a 3-week break for Easter. Today is session 4, and we've got 5 more to come. So get your slot booked in, get your reminder in your calendar, because today's going to be amazing, and the next 5 are going to be amazing as well. The link will be posted in the chat. The sessions are all recorded. So each week, if you've registered, you will get a follow-up EDM. So even if for any reason you can't make it, make sure that you register, because then you'll get the follow-up email that will give you the recording, a link to the recording. So if you can't make it all, or for any reason a customer walks in, or you get distracted, you can go back and watch the recording. So make sure you register and sign up, and you can go back and watch the previous ones. At the end of the session, we're going to post a link in the chat to a survey, which we would love you to fill out. It is so important. These are curated for you. These are created to help your business grow. So it's so important that we get live feedback from you, because we can adapt and change. And the City of Sydney is so passionate about helping small businesses grow, that I know that the feedback helps them to curate this program. Helps them to curate this program. So please give some feedback. So I'm going to introduce you in a minute to the wonderful, amazing woman that is Kylie Captain. But before I do that, I just want to quickly talk about and set the landscape for this session. One of the things I pride myself on is the ability to bring diverse thinkers to the table. And that's not just about diversity culturally. That's not just about diversity in skill set. It's about just bringing people that think differently to the table, because we know in business, and there's stats around this to prove this, we know that having diverse thinkers in your business, or advising your business, or inspiring your business, helps you grow your revenue. Diverse businesses are more profitable. So having diverse thinkers is going to help you grow your business. And the reason for this is because as diverse thinkers, we approach problems in different ways. So we approach them in unique ways, and we think about the customer, and we think about the different aspects of the customer journey. And I know you're going to get a lot from Kylie today. So as she shares her journey and the importance of storytelling, I'm going to help you bring your stories to life. So Kylie is one of the most amazing storytellers I've ever met. She has been on an incredible journey of suffering, resilience, and just drive. Every time I speak to Kylie, she fills me with this emotion and inspiration. And in today's fast-paced, overly automated digital world, what we need to do is connect to real humans and to real stories. And the internet is so busy at the moment, so busy with noise, that the things you are connecting with is humanity. So what we're going to do today, and we know that stories are up to 22 times more memorable than just basic pictures or facts. So I'm going to ask you a quick question just to get everyone in the chat, because this isn't just about us talking at you. This is about you being engaged with us. And by the way, we have a Q&A session at the end. So if any of you want to ask any questions, please put them in the Q&A. Don't put them in the chat, put them in the Q&A. You can chat in the chat. That's awesome. Make comment, give feedback, shout outs, whatever it might be. But if you have a question to ask at the end, please put it in the Q&A. If you had to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of your ability to tell stories, and that's stories about you, your brand, your organization, your product, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 of your storytelling ability. How good are you at telling stories? Just put it in the chat. 6 to 7. 7. 5, 6, 7. Okay. Terrible. That's okay. We're going to fix that today. 7. Awesome. 7. Hi, Sally. Okay. Now I want you to rate yourself on how 8, 9, Angel, you need to teach us all how to tell stories. That's amazing. Now I want you to rate yourself. Mig, that's okay. We're going to fix that today. I want you to rate yourself on the ability for you to share those stories in a digital format. So a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at sharing your story on much lower, much lower. So we're going to do 2 things today. That's a 4. I saw some 3s and 2s in there, 7. So whoever's got a 9, I'm coming after you afterwards. I want to see your story. We're going to do 2 things today. I'm going to introduce you in a second to the wonderful woman that is Kylie. And what we're going to do, she's going to share her story with you. And from that, I know you're going to glean so much inspiration. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take her story and I'm going to show you how to share your story digitally. We're going to use 3 tools. So stay with me. We're going to use Instagram. We're going to use Descript, which is a transcribing tool. And I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT, which is an AI tool, which is changing the world of business as we see it at the moment. And I'm very, very close to it and doing lots of experiments and tests with it at the moment. So I'm going to show you how to quickly use it to get your story out there. But before I do that, I want to introduce the phenomenal Kylie Captain. Kylie is a proud Gamilaroi woman, author and educational leader. Kylie's books and accompanying journal are making a difference to the lives of many across Australia and internationally. Over the past 22 years, Kylie has had an impressive career in finance, community services, and education. And she is now moving into her own business startup, which is exciting. And I can't wait to see what she does next. Most recently, she launched her business, Dream Big Education, Wellbeing and Consulting. And in her book, Dream Big and Imagine the What If, Kylie shares her story of loss and circumstance. In her honest and powerful voice, she shares how she found the strength and determination and inspiration to overcome the challenges she encountered to enjoy a new, full and abundant life. I literally could not be more excited to introduce such an amazing force. Welcome, Kylie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much, Yama, everyone. I always get a bit teary hearing, people introduce me, and I'm like, wow, that's yeah, it's often I have to pinch myself and just reflect on how far I really have come. And it is really an honour to be with you all today, dialing in from beautiful Dharawal country here. And it's a real privilege to be with you. So thank you, Kelly, and the City of Sydney for having me today.
Awesome. Well, look, let's get into it. I would love to hear your story. Yeah. I think that's the first thing, because it's so fascinating. And yeah, you go.
Awesome. So I am a bit of a storyteller, and I was resonating with some of the things that you were talking about. I love to share stories. I love to interact with people just every single day, you know, whether it's one-on-one or in large groups or speaking in front of people. One thing that I haven't yet mastered is sharing it digitally. So I'm here as a learner with everyone here today. But yeah, just yama everyone. As I mentioned, I'm on Dharawal country today. I'm a proud Gamilaroi woman, born and raised in the inner city suburbs of Redfern and Waterloo. I grew up in Housing Commission flats there in Waterloo, and I lived there for, you know, probably 20-something odd years. And I guess my story is I've lived many lives. There's lots of parts to my story. And as you mentioned, Kelly, I did launch my first book at the end of 2021 titled Dream Big and Imagine the What If. In that, I do share my story. And my story is a little bit of a sad one. You know, it starts off, it's a little bit of a tearjerker because I have been through a lot of grief and adversity and challenges throughout my life. But if people were to describe me in one word, and they often do, it's resilience. And I'm really proud of that. So I guess a little bit of my story. I'm a Gamilaroi woman. So my mum's from Walgett, a small country town in northwest New South Wales, where my mum was born and raised on the banks of the Namai River, lived in a little tin shack. And like many Aboriginal families, my family moved down to Redfern and Waterloo and set up home. Back then, my birth mum, Millie, she actually had a life-threatening heart condition, and she needs to be closer to St Vincent's Hospital. So Dr. Victor Chang was her doctor. And so we moved into Waterloo, and my older sisters were born in Walgett, and so I was born in Crown Street Women's Hospital. And sadly, Mum Millie passed away when I was 3 years old. She was only 28. You know, due to this life-threatening heart condition, which I've also inherited as well. So I have her similar life-threatening heart condition. I actually have an internal cardiac defibrillator. So I have this electrical box that sits inside my chest with the wires that are screwed into my heart. I always say it's my little energizer bunny that keeps me going. But everything I do, every time I have the opportunity to share my story and have a couple little yarns, I always acknowledge the three proud Aboriginal women that raised me. So I was lucky enough to have my birth mum, Millie, and then I had my auntie. So within Aboriginal families, kinship is really important. Mum had one sister, so her sister, my mum Denise, then stepped in and became my mum. And I had my beautiful Nan Delphine, who everyone in the Redfern Waterloo community knew. I was often sitting on the front doorstep with her in Wellington Street, and we'd often be pushing her down the block where she played cards all the time, down at Redfern with all the old girls. And I guess, long story short, my story has been a bit of a sad one. We were just the typical, you know, Aboriginal family with many struggles. I spent a lot of my childhood in hospital with a chronic skin condition called psoriasis. I guess fast forward to, you know, and I was absent a lot for school as well, and we'd often travel back to Walgett. Fast forward to my high school years, I took a really kind of negative turn for the worse there, and at 14 found myself, you know, only going to school 2 to 3 times a week, heavily addicted to drugs, heading down a really negative path, stealing, getting up to no good, walking around those inner city streets there. And thankfully for me, a teacher saw my potential. She told me that I was smart and that I was deadly, and that she couldn't wait to see me in her Aboriginal Studies class the following year. You know, throughout a lot of my challenges, education has, you know, I feel changed and saved my life. She planted that seed, and they did a few things that really made a difference. So I've become sort of really hooked on goal setting and achieving dreams and goals now. I, you know, was the first in my family to get my HSC, the first to go to university. I decided to study as a teacher, the first to sort of, you know, do lots of things, build my own home. I've traveled the world. I have 2 beautiful children that I've raised, and both have an education. You know, both got the HSC. That was probably one of my proudest moments as a mum. My kids are nearly 23 and 19. And for the last sort of 14 years, I've worked in education. So I was a primary school teacher, and I've worked with our families. And most recently, I've been leading the improvement journey of schools across Southwest Sydney. So really working closely with principals, directors, teachers to educate them about our history and our culture, so they can embed it into our curriculum, so that, you know, Aboriginal education is everybody's business. So that's something that I'm really proud of. there's lots of different facets, I guess, and aspects to my story. But long story short, I've overcome a lot of grief, and sadly, from losing the father of my children, and a sister, a best friend, both my mum's, my nan, my health issues, I've been really determined, and I set some really outrageous goals, such as buying my own house as a single mum, with 2 little children when they were 7, and, after their dad passed away, and, writing a book, writing another book. And this year, as you mentioned, Kelly, starting my own business. So with my work, my work had shifted as I improved in my leadership. So I guess that is a little bit of my journey. It's been a bit of a wild ride. Every single day, I sort of just wake up. A big part of my stories and things that I've used, such as gratitude, visualization. I love aspects of the law of attraction, really creating images in my mind of, what I want to see, what I want to be, and inspiring others as well to really focus on their passion and their purpose. Chapter 1 in my book is called We All Have a Story, and I believe that every single one of us have a story. We go back to, I am a storyteller. My people have been storytellers for tens and thousands of years, and every single day I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to share, to connect through my story, and to hear that it's actually making a difference in the lives of many.
So you've recently moved from being an educator to starting your own business, and part of that is actually telling your story. The reason you're getting booked left, right, and centre, that your inbox is full of people asking you to come and speak, to come and work with them, is because you're telling your story. How important do you think that is?
Look, story sharing is really important, and I only I shared my story for a purpose about 10 years ago through work, and I've always been someone that, I was kind of hiding my story. It was a lot of things that I was kind of ashamed of, my early years, some of the struggles, and people in my work in particular, they saw me as a really highly functional professional. I'm working with principals, directors, high leaders, and I thought, what if I shared my story and they found out about all these struggles, my early years of drug use, of crime, of heading, like, what if they didn't like me anymore? Of what if, what if people would think differently of me? And I remember I shared it for a purpose, because I was working as an attendance officer, focusing, working with students that were struggling to get to school. And a lot of the people that I'm working with, I felt that they were just giving up on these kids. They were saying they didn't have high expectations. They were kind of, using really low level language in regards to where they're going to be in the future. They've got no hope, all these sorts of things. So I was at a conference one day and I just shared my story, and I said, I want to let you all know that that was me. I was that kid that was on his low caseload. I was the person that the attendance officers were chasing. And if it wasn't for one teacher who believed in me, someone that told me that I was smart, someone that actually told me that I was worthy, I honestly feel like I probably would have ended up dead or in jail, because that's where I was heading. And honestly, there were tears, and all of a sudden there was all of this self-reflection in regards to the impact that they have as educators. And all of a sudden they started thinking of all these young people who they could make a difference for. And the young people that I was working with, I started to share my story to let them know that that was also me, but we do have hope, and we can redirect, and we can, there's always a chance to redirect and to change our path, and all the supports, and started sharing all the things that worked for me, and it started to work for them. So I started to sort of shift things up just by sharing my story. And I think everywhere I go now, I'm asked just to share little insights, because my story's got many different chapters to it, and we all have a story. And I just, throughout my grief, there were times where I really struggled. I hit rock bottom after going through so many challenges throughout my younger years, to then becoming a mum at 19, landed a job with St. George Bank, where I was loving that job. And then, my life was on track. And then suddenly the father of my children died suddenly, and I was a single mum with a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old. And I often was doing the why me? Why does this keep on happening? Why? But you know what? I went on this journey of really discovering my inner strength, and I absolutely call on my ancestors, my people, and I just where appropriate, sometimes, depending on the time of the year, around certain dates, where that grief can pop up a lot more as well. But throughout my work, I have positively impacted the lives of many through my story. And throughout my grief and adversity, I loved hearing stories. I loved hearing about other women that had overcome similar things. I loved hearing about, business owners. Even now, like, I'm inspired to go and rewatch all of the Reboot series with City of Sydney, because I'm 6 weeks into a business. It's my next what if chapter. But I do know, and then, like you said, I am getting booked to come and share my story. And it's not all about the sad stuff. It's about the things that I've learned, strategies to help others. And I just think we all have a story. We all have a calling. We're all here for a reason. Everyone on this call, they're in their businesses for a reason. It's just around getting confidence with sharing our story. And obviously, I've shared my story now through my books and my journals. I speak at conferences, I run workshops, and I'm often really, really confident. The only thing that I'm really not, I'll put up a picture and share yarns through socials, but the only thing I'm really not that confident is the digital world. However, I'm the person that loves to watch. I love watching your videos, Kelly. I love watching everyone else's videos. But I'm like, we're often our own worst critic, aren't we? When, I'll watch it and I'll be like, is that how I sound? Is that, you know what I mean? All those sorts of things. But absolutely, power in story is phenomenal, and it's one of my goals for this year that I hope to. And it's just like when I started public speaking many, many years ago. It was scary, right? Anything you start is new is scary. So I'm hoping that I'll grow in confidence. And I think that's because everyone's not a reader. I wrote my books for a reason. There's a chapter on my story. There's chapters on Aboriginal history and culture called Black and Proud. It's a motivational book as well. And there's really important messages in my books. And I know that everyone doesn't read, but how am I going to get that message out to support, others? And it is through video. And I guess I'm challenging myself through your support and learning, from everyone else to really learn how to do that.
And you're right. So many of us, and look, I do it myself, so many of us go through that overthinking process of, I don't like the sound of my voice. I don't like this. I don't like this. This isn't great. Oh no, I'm cringing because it's me talking to camera. But I'll never forget Naomi Simpson, who's a friend of mine. She actually spoke on the last Reboot series. She's such an inspirational woman. She's phenomenal. And I asked her about whether she gets nervous when she does her videos, and whether she, whether she ever feels that kind of imposter syndrome. And we would all think that Naomi would never feel that, being the powerhouse that she is. But reality is she does, just as much as you and I do, Kylie. She does feel that feeling of imposter syndrome. And so she has a thing that she does for herself whenever she's going on video. And I now do this myself. Whenever I'm going on video and recording, I go, if I can educate, teach, inspire, motivate one person, that's it. That's all I need to do. I don't need to appeal to the masses. I don't need everybody to love me, because not everybody is going to love me. Not everyone's going to share the same energy as me, or, reflect where I'm at. But if I can just inspire one person, that's enough for me. And that is enough for me to get that video done. And then I'm done. I move on. I put it out to the universe and I see what happens. So where do you start with story? So you've been through, your story comes from a place of trauma that then turns into a place of absolute inspiration and goal setting. But where do you start with writing that story? And not necessarily about a book, but actually just kind of telling your story. Where does a business owner start?
I think it always comes back to one word, and that's why. Why are you in business? Why did you start? Why is it important? And everything that I do, I base my yarns, my workshops, everything that I do around really reflecting and encourage people to reflect on their why. And also, just your passion, it's just around always reflecting on why you started. Even now, I've worked for 21 years. I left a really well-paid job to explore this what if, and often it gets a little bit scary. I wake up going, oh my gosh, but it only comes for just 1 second, but I reflect to why I started. And I think everyone that starts a business, they do it because it's something that you're interested in, something that you're passionate about. So always reflecting on the why. So I think it's really important for us to be able to you know, and I'm a yarner as well. Sometimes I can go for hours and talk, but it is around getting that message across, you know, easily for other people to really understand why it's important and how our services or support are going to positively impact the lives or impact the customer, you know. So that's kind of the work that I'm doing in regards to, you know, why I started my business and why am I going to, you know, run my goal setting and aspiration programs for students? Why am I doing this work with teachers? Why am I saying yes to these conferences? And it is because I believe that I have a really important message to share around the power of education, the power of culture, resilience, country, place, everything that we have as Aboriginal people. I feel like Australia, the nation, and everyone overseas, everyone, we need to kind of really learn, relearn, unlearn the truth of our history. I'm really passionate about that. And it all comes back to purpose. You know, sadly, I've lost nearly every member of my family, you know, just from being Aboriginal, you know, both my mums, my nan, a sister, and like all these heartbreaking statistics of our people break my heart. So I feel like I want to educate. I believe that education will change many lives. You know, it just gives us freedom and choice, and it will help with health. It will help with employment. It will help with lots of different things. So I guess that's my little niche, and every single day I wake up feeling so grateful, the fact that I did get an education and I had the ability to work full time, raise my young kids and study full time to become a teacher. And, you know, I've had an incredible journey of being, you know, an educational leader. And now it's my next what if. You know, my book's called Dream Big and Imagine the What If. So all of us have power in our stories. And I think it's important for everyone to, you know, just to back themselves and don't feel guilty as well. Like if your story isn't as deadly, I use the word deadly a lot, that means amazing, you know, it's an Aboriginal English word. Don't, you know, I think it's important that we don't often just compare ourselves with others, you know, that your business isn't as good as the others because of whatever reason, or our story doesn't matter, because how boring would the world be if we were all the same and if we're all out there sharing the same story. So I think it's important that we share our passion, our purpose, and always think about our why. And I wake up every day and I journal, I reflect, I set my vision and my goals for the day and the year and whatever it might be. And it's always going to come back to that word why.
And I think that's so important. You know, I think we often get caught in small business. We often get caught in the race, in the rat race, in the to do tick list, and we forget that why. And then when it comes to creating content, we're like, well, I'm just going to do a video on my product. I'm just going to take a picture of this. And you forget the connection piece, which is fundamentally what we need to do to cut through the digital noise right now. There's no way we are cutting through digital without having that why and the connection piece, which is all about the storytelling piece, which I love. And, you know, every time I hear your story, you equally make me want to cry and you equally make me smile and you create this emotion. You're like a John Lewis advert. For those Brits, if there's any Brits on the call, John Lewis do an advert every year, a Christmas advert, and it in both parts makes you want to cry and makes you are that. You make me want to cry and you make me want to smile all at the same time. All right. So just on are there any rules with storytelling? So one of the things you do is you tell your whole story. You share your life. You know, you talked about your kids. You talk about your partner that died. You talked about your family. You talk about your heritage. For those of us who are not as comfortable with sharing our story, how do you get around that?
I think there's a time and the place as well, and not everyone is going to ever be comfortable sharing their story. You know, some people are just about, this is my business, this is what it's about, this is my story of the business, and that's okay as well. I guess I shared my story for a purpose because I was really tired of the low expectations of our Aboriginal young people. Then I was just bursting inside going, oh my God, I have to tell them, you know, and I just felt this really need just to share my story. But I mean, I know other business owners as well. And, you know, and I guess what I love to hear about is always just around, why they started. And you don't have to go into the ins and outs of your entire life. You know, it was obviously very brave of me to share my story. And I really did just touch the surface in my book and in my yarns that I share, just to, I guess, provide a little bit of background knowledge. You know, if I'm out there giving educators tips to how to engage students, if I'm talking about teaching, you know, I obviously bring in my own story and my own family history as well, to really just to give me a little bit of credibility, I guess, in regards to, yes, this is my area of expertise and this is why. So I just think it's whatever suits, whatever the need is, you know, and I know that there's a variety of businesses, you know, in City of Sydney and elsewhere, but whatever it is that you feel like you're comfortable sharing, and then as you grow, you might feel like sharing a little bit more. But it could be as simple as your vision statement. You know, I know that when businesses, you know, apparently you need to have your vision statement and have all these amazing platforms, which I'm still learning about. But, you know, being able to share that, you know, what does it actually mean? Can you verbalize that? Because often what I feel as well is there's a lot of policies, you know, when we're talking about education and Aboriginal histories and cultures, and they're beautiful words that are written on beautiful pieces of paper. But when I hear somebody share it and explain it, all of a sudden I have buy-in and I'm like, that's what they mean, or that's their intention. So I just think that, you know, the power of story sharing is phenomenal, and whatever everyone is comfortable with sharing, I just think just to start, you know, that's kind of what I did with one chapter. Then I did 12 chapters. Now I've done, you know, co-authored a second book with Dr. Kathy Burgess, who was that teacher who made a difference for me. And there's still a couple more books in me as well, because I've got lots more stories that I want to share. And I just think that stories are beautiful. Stories keep that human connection and keep us grounded to just real life, you know?
Yeah, totally. So I'm going to set everyone a challenge today. I am going to ask everyone to tell their story, whatever that story is for you, whatever you are comfortable with telling, but I'm going to ask you to tell your story in some way, shape or form. I'm going to show you how to do it. So if I show you how to do it digitally, online, in about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes tops, do you promise me, or do you agree? Just put it in the chat. Yes. Do you agree to share your story if I show you how to do it? So what we're going to do, awesome. I know Kylie's in, Donna's in, awesome. Andrea, she promises. And what I want you to do is tag me in it, so I can give that inspiration that Kylie shared with you back to her and let her know that this has all gone full circle. Perfect. All right. I'm going to show you 3 tools to use. Kylie, then we're going to come back to your story. So I am going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to show you 3 things that I use to share stories. Okay. So the first one, I talked to you before about a platform called ChatGPT. Now, for those of you that haven't used ChatGPT yet, ChatGPT is essentially it's an artificial intelligence tool. I'm not going to get into the technicalities of it. For some of you, you're not going to be interested in the technicalities of it. What it is allowing us to do is produce content at speed. To give you a little bit of background on it, ChatGPT was launched in November last year. I jumped on a very early demo of it and started playing around with it. Within 5 days, they grew to 1 million users. To give you context, it took Netflix 3.5 years to grow to 1 million users. They're now at around 100 million plus users. It's the fastest growing application platform on the planet ever. And the reason it is because my 12-year-old, who is currently building out his Tokyo Teas website with it and producing content, and my 80-year-old grandma, you know, an 80-year-old grandma can also use it. So anyone can use this tool. It's very, very easy to use. And I'm going to show you a quick hack on how to write your story, because I think one of the things that prevents us from actually telling our story is, I don't know what to say. I have no idea what to say. I'm so uncomfortable with just saying something. So to give you a script is where we're going to start. Now, Kylie's already done her script, so we're going to show hers at the end, but I'm going to show you how to write your own script. So in ChatGPT, what I have done is I have trained it in the voice of me. So I'm just going to find my voice. Don't worry too much about this, but I've trained it in my voice. So what I've done is I've started feeding it information about me. I've fed it information about my past. I've connected it to my website. It knows a lot about me. It's learning all the time. That's the beautiful thing about ChatGPT. It learns you. It learns your history. So this could be about your brand, not necessarily about you personally. Could be about your brand. So you could feed it product information. You could feed it videos. You could feed it any content you want. Your book, Kylie, and it will start to learn to talk in your voice. So what I'm going to do here is I've written a little prompt for it. Now, the thing is with ChatGPT is the better you can get at prompting it, the better the result will be in return. So let's say, for instance, you want it to write 10 Instagram captions or an email to the education department asking for you to come and, you know, suggesting that you come and speak to them about what you are doing. It will write that for you, but you need to tell it as much information as you can to write the best thing. If anyone has questions on this, put it in the chat. So this is a little prompt I've written earlier on. Rachel will drop the link to Chat OpenAI in ChatGPT in the link in the chat as well. And it's a free tool, by the way. You don't have to pay for this. So I've asked it to write a 1-minute video script for Kelly Slessor, this is all very vain, explaining what she does and why she does it. Make it fun and engaging, because I do believe I'm fun and engaging sometimes, and use the 3-act structure. So this is a kind of process for writing stories. So in the first act, set the stage and introduce the character of the story. In the second act, present a problem faced by the character and build up the tension. In the third act, deliver the climax of the story by resolving the problem with your product or service. Do not use a narrator, because I don't want someone to talk for me. I'm going to do the video myself. So I'm going to hit return on that. And it's writing a script for me. It's got me walking down a busy city street. So I'm in the city of Sydney. I'm walking down Pitt Street, and it's writing a script. Hi there, my name's Kelly Slessor, and I'm a bit of a tech geek. Ever since I was a little girl, I've been fascinated by the world of technology and how it can change the way we live and work. This is totally on point. But as I got older and started to work in the retail industry, I noticed a problem. So many businesses were struggling to keep up with the rapid pace of technology. I think, Kylie, you just said that earlier. And they were missing out on opportunities to grow and connect with their customers. That's why I started my own company. Let me come back up here. But it hasn't always been an easy journey for me. This talks about my past, which I'm not going to go into. And today I'm here to help businesses like yours succeed in the digital world. The problem I see many businesses face is that they struggle to keep up with the fast changing digital landscape. So what I want you all to do, if you cannot write a little script for yourself, a little video script, go get ChatGPT to do it. That wrote that for me in literally 1 minute. Like that's how quick it was. Use that as a practice tool. Okay, so now that we've written the script, the next thing I'm going to show you is how to then put that into digital content. All right, so I'm just going to share my screen here. Give me 1 second. Can everyone see my phone screen? Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to go into Instagram. I'm going to click on Instagram. I'm just going to come out of this. I just want to make sure everyone could see that. Could you see that? Yeah, okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. I just can't see you when I'm sharing my phone screen, which is fine. Now that I know you can see it, I'm back in. All right, so I'm going to come into Instagram. I'm going to come out of there because that's an awful shot. All right, okay. Now I'm going to click on the little plus button at the bottom. There's a little plus button right at the bottom of Instagram. This is my son this morning. I was doing his hair. And I'm going to go across to Reels. So at the bottom, you've got Reels. So you can see there, you've got me and you've got me on my phone. You can see me. Now, I am extremely vain. So I'm going to put a filter on it. You don't have to put a filter on it. But if you want, there's a little filter button at the bottom for the vain ones in the room. And it's not just about being vain, actually. For me, honestly, sometimes I just don't have the time to do my makeup. So putting a little filter on it just means that it's another thing that's going to stop me from procrastinating from making the video. All right, then I'm going to click and hold this button. Hi, my name's Kelly Slessor. I'm an e-commerce coach. I specialize in digital. My passion is about helping small businesses grow online. All right, You don't need any more. You've got the gist. Okay, then I'm going to click the next button. Okay, we're going to stop that because otherwise you're going to hear me on repeat, and there is nothing worse than hearing your own voice over and over again. All right, then I'm going to click on the little smiley face at the top. I'm going to click on captions. I'm just going to make sure before I do, everyone can still hear me. Everyone can still hear me. Awesome. Okay, let me just share my screen again. Oh, nothing worse. Hear me. Voice. I'm gonna stop that. Okay, so what I've done is I hit the little smiley face, and I've clicked on captions. So what it's then done is transcribed it and put captions over the top. So if I click on done, I've got my name now. I'm just going to drag that. Hi, my name's Kelly Sophie. So that's a great resting face. Now it's got that. And if I click play, you've had enough of me. I've another great resting face. All right, I'm now going to download that to my phone. So I've got my script, I've got my video, and I've downloaded it to my phone. And I'm going to stop you looking at that awful picture. Now, if you've got longer form video, I'm going to get off that picture because that's embarrassing. If you've got longer form video, so let's say, Kylie, for instance, you want to narrate a bit of your book. That doesn't work on Instagram, unfortunately. So, you know, you can only go up to, I think it's about 90 seconds on Instagram for an Instagram reel. So let's say, for instance, you wanted to do a longer form video. So you do a video on your computer, you record the video. Then what I use is a tool called Descript. So Descript is a transcribing tool. You can use a free version of it. It keeps a watermark on there, but you know, some people are okay with that, and some people prefer to pay for it. It's not that expensive though. I think it's about $20 or $30 a month. Okay, so I'm just going to create a new project in here. I'm going to choose a file to transcribe. I'm going to find a video of me. So there's a video of me that I did recently. I'm going to open up that. Now, what that's going to do is start to transcribe that video. So it's going to start putting words on the video. So if it's a long form video, or for instance, I don't want to use Instagram to do this, I can just record it straight onto here. It's now transcribing that, so it might take a couple of seconds, and that will get up to, it's not a big video, so it shouldn't take too long, but that will get up to 100%. What that will then do is take all of my words that I've said, and it will put them in written format. So here you go, transcribing 100%. So there's 5 things that are fundamentally going to affect retail this year in the online space. Number 1 is connected commerce. Now, one of the things this always does is spells my name incorrectly. So, let me just stop that one. Let me just do that. Okay. So here, I can literally change some of the wording in here. So if I wanted to, if it says lesser, which is how it spells my name normally, I could just change that to slessor. So I can go in here and rewrite this. Now what I can do, now that I'm in here, and you remember you can watch this back later if you need it in slower motion. I click on the text button. I'm going to click on the captions, and you're going to see now, watch this magic happen. There you go. And you now have a piece of video content that you can send out to the world that looks professional, that is transcribed, that uses a script that hopefully you're comfortable with. Now, the last little trick that I use before we get into questions, the last little trick I use is I then copy and paste that transcript back into my ChatGPT so it learns more about me and learns how to talk in my voice. So I'm going to close that down, and I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to go, I'm going to teach you about me. I'm going to feed you information about my style. Sure, what kind of information would you like to share? I'm just going to paste that video's transcript. And then what it says, it's going to break that down for me. So it's getting to know me. So each time I ask it to do something, ChatGPT is doing it more and more in my voice. So more and more it's imitating me and using my language, which again saves me time in overthinking. Okay, I am going to ask now. We've got 10 minutes left for Q&A, but I'm going to ask in the chat, who is comfortable with sharing their story digitally? Jules, you go. I cannot wait to see you hula hooping. Andrea, awesome. Angelica, perfect. All right, I would love you to tag me in your story, and so I can share with the beautiful lady that is Kylie. All right, Kylie, are you comfortable to share your story today?
Yes.
Okay, well, we're going to share it now. So this is one that Kylie did earlier. Can you drop it in the chat, Rachel? All right, so here we go. This is one Kylie did earlier that's going out to the world today.
Hey everyone, my name's Kylie Captain. I'm a Gamilaroi author and educator and founding director of Dream Big Education, Wellbeing and Consulting. I've authored 2 books, Dream Big and Imagine the What If, and Be That Teacher Who Makes a Difference and Lead Aboriginal Education for All Students. That one was co-authored with Dr. Kathy Burgess, that teacher who made a difference for me. We thought as educators we could share our combination of unique experiences to share our yarns to make a difference for educators across the country. I've also created a deadly goal-setting journal as well that's making a difference in the lives of many. This year I've started my own business where I'm facilitating student programs, teacher programs, consultancy, cultural capability sessions, and just anything really that aligns with my passion and purpose. I trained as a primary school teacher and this is my first year in business, and I'm super excited to get out there and share my story and hopefully make a difference in the lives of many.
And that you are, Kylie, and that you are. That's so beautiful. I love it. Absolutely love it. We will send that to you so that you can share your story today. And anyone else, please, please, please share your story. All right, we're going to jump into Q&A. All right, Jules has asked me a ChatGPT question. So how is your IT or IP? I'm guessing your IP. Is that right, Jules? You mean IP? I'll go with IP. Okay, how is your how is your IP protected in this? So look, when you sign up to ChatGPT, you obviously share information with it to learn, but that information belongs to you. So you're not giving your information to ChatGPT. And if you read their terms and conditions, that information and IP that you've created still belongs to you. Kylie, that's a really good question, actually. So for you, is putting out a lot of your journals and things like that. How are you protecting your IP? And is that an issue?
Apart from, when I've gone down the publishing company, everything just says, it's copyrighted, to me. So that's, hang on, I've got had 2 things going. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
So sorry. I signed in on my other one because for some reason the sound dropped out. Yeah, I think with copyright, so with my books, they're both, it says copywriter, the owners of the author. The journal, I've just put the stuff out there, but I'm still researching and doing a lot of work in this space as well. So there's a few other things like my masterclasses and workshops, and I hear that I should get onto copyright and work out that space. So I still need to do some research. So if anyone else on the call knows, then feel free to drop me a link as well, because that's something that I'm still exploring.
Yeah, awesome. Well, copywriting, I mean, making sure you have copyright on your IP is really important, definitely. What should we do for background for videos? Great question, Andrea. So for background for your videos, it's what you're comfortable with, really. But look, I love Kylie's background, getting an insight into her world and what's behind her. You can't see behind me, but I've got a massive bookcase with color coordinated books. Getting insights into people's world is really powerful. It's part of the storytelling. Like, the image that you've got behind you, Kylie, you know, tells a story about the art and the history and the culture. So actually having things in your background that are personal to you lets us into your world a little bit more. The other thing is, obviously, if you are, you know, like for instance, I did one recently at a shopping center. I work a lot with retailers. So the background is very, very important to them, or it connects with them. It shows me in a shopping center in their environment, which is hugely important as well, because that connects with them. So I think don't overthink the background too much. You know, Kylie, just a question for you in kind of that overthinking. How did you get to the point where you sat down and wrote that book and didn't overthink it too much? Because that can be the tool that helps us all procrastinate, right?
Yeah, obviously I went around and around and around for a while until I got to the point where I was on a deadline. I had made a goal for myself that I was going to write this book at the age of 40. So my time was ticking on. I needed to just hit, and now, you know, just to hit the submit button. And even now I'm too scared to go back and actually read it, because I'm like, every time you look at something, you want to change it. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's just around getting comfortable. And even when I shared that video with you today, I took a few different takes. And I'm like, I still don't think it's very good, you know, but I'm like, okay, I'm just going to send it anyway. And I'm, you know, even I'd love to share it on my social media today as well. And I'm still thinking like, I'm a little bit scared to share it, you know, but I think that sometimes you just have to press the button and just go. And I love your little advice as well today, and even if it just makes a difference. There's so much content that I want to share from my books, but so I think you just need to, you know, I've obviously written 2 books now, and I share all this face-to-face and live, but it's just around hitting just enough is enough. And just if we want to get to where we need to get to, then we just have to get the courage to actually do it. I remember when I pre-launched my book, actually, so I told people my book was coming, and I think you actually purchased one before it was even released, Kelly. That was scary for me as well, because I still had the finishing touches, and I remember just had to post it, and then I was on the phone to my cousin, you know, going, oh my God, I can't believe that I've done that. But I had to take those brave steps, and the positive affirmations as well, I think, work well for me with writing my books and sharing my story. So I think it's just around, you know, looking in the mirror every single day now, you know, you just have to tell ourselves, you know, the positive affirmations. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. I have an important message to share. My business is important because I think we're human. We're often our own worst critics. And that fear, I write about fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of success even. And that fear can often hold us back. So that's the stuff that I write about in my book. And the fear is certainly holding me back in this digital space, Kelly.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you said. What we've got to do is press the go button and just get on. You know, sometimes we just got to not overthink this stuff. Press the go button, put it out to the universe, and go with it. I've got a couple of questions on GPT. How do you feed Chat GPT more information about your brand? Can you link it to existing web pages? Absolutely. You can put your web link in there and basically connect it back to your brand. So it can read your website information and get more information about your brand. So as much as information you can feed it as possible, the better it is going to get. How long did it take Chat GPT to train in your style? Look, I've been working on it since it launched in November. But to be honest, I've only been training it in my style for about 3 or 4 weeks. And all I do is every time I get a chance or I translate a video, I just copy paste, stick it in Chat GPT. And I've just been doing that, and it's getting better and better at talking in my voice or producing content in my voice. So in Chat GPT, for it to learn about you and save your history, it's not the free version, is it? Yes, it is the free version. You can still use the free version and it will still learn about you and save your history. Absolutely. I think there might be a limit on it, but you can. And I've answered that one. Awesome. All right. I am conscious of time. Kylie, you are a phenomenal woman and a force. And I am grateful, proud, and honoured to be able to share your story with the city of Sydney. And I'm always inspired by your journey. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for sharing. If everyone could give some love to Kylie in the chat, one thing you've got out of that you're going to take forward would be amazing. Thank you. All right, to wrap up, I am just going to give you, if you can Fill in the feedback link. Do your story video. That would be amazing. Remember, we have a 3-week break for Easter. We're back on the 2nd of May with Janine Garner, who's going to be sharing her amazing tips on networking for growth. Then we've got Justin Hems, which is going to be insane. If anyone wants to be a case study, then please fill in the survey and email us and let us know. If you are interested, please email the City of Sydney. There is one thing that I want to quickly share with you is the City of Sydney have a innovation program that is open to 20 motivated business owners in the City of Sydney. It's a 12-week accelerator program, one-on-one mentoring, bootcamp workshops, fortnightly online sessions. It's 100% free. So if anyone is in, growth mode, needs some inspiration, wants to learn more, this is an amazing program. Rachel will drop the chat in there. And Kylie, thank you. I think Rachel did share your link, but thank you so much for sharing that link as well. That was a full-on session, and I'm grateful. I want to say thank you to the City of Sydney. Thank you to Kylie. You are phenomenal. I really hoped all of you enjoyed that session, and I look forward to seeing you in May. Have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday and have the best long weekend. Thanks so much. Thanks, Kylie.
Thanks, Kelly, and thanks, City of Sydney. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks so much.